Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Film Analysis, part 2 of the Adonis Stevenson-Badou Jack fight that will be taking place in Montreal, Canada on May the 19th. The fight will be televised by Showtime and it figures to be a pretty good one. Stevenson is a hard puncher, Badou Jack's a skilled fighter, and so I think we're going to see some fireworks in that one. Adonis Stevenson has been much criticized in the past for failing to take on the top 5 guys in the division. He's been feasting mostly on guys that he's clearly superior to, at least on paper. And he's had a couple of rough fights though. He's 40 years old, so a lot of people are picking Badou Jack, but still a lot of people figure to pick Stevenson based on his incredible power. And we're gonna take a look at how he makes that power work, because there are a lot of power punches out there in boxing. Sometimes guys are very reluctant to let their hands go. Sometimes they're not reluctant and they actually let their hands go, like a Marcus Maidana, for example. Or at least a Marcus Maidana before he was with Robert Garcia. He would just throw punches, hit you on the shoulders, hit you on the elbows. But sometimes if that didn't work, they were really out of options and just spending their bullets. Adonis Stevenson is the type of guy that sets his punches up. He knows how to set his power up, and that makes him all the more dangerous. So we're going to take a look at his strengths, we're going to take a look at his weaknesses, and how that figures to play out against Badou Jack. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, one of the things that makes Stevenson so dangerous is that he punches from all angles. He mostly uses that left hand. That's his main power punch. His right hook, it's nothing to sneeze at. I mean, I'm pretty sure it hurts, but it's really the left hand that's going to cause damage. So people gotta watch out for that, but nevertheless, Stevenson, even though he's a bit of a one-handed fighter, he manages to make it work and confuse his opponent. So how does he do that? A very simple technique that most guys out there do not use, which is he punches downstairs, he punches upstairs, he feints. You don't know where the punch is going to come from. So here he is against Andrews Fonfara, first fight. So you can see Stevenson jabbing downstairs. So he's jabbing downstairs. Then before you know it, he's countering upstairs. Then he goes with the left downstairs, which hurts, by the way. Again, another big left. You can see him pushing Fonfara back. Now he goes upstairs. Again downstairs. Now he goes with a 1-2 upstairs. Big left hand. And now notice how it didn't even hit him. It didn't even hit Fonfara flush on the face, and nevertheless he was able to back him up. Hold on a second, back. Let's look at that in slow motion again. Look at that. Boom. That's power right there. He punches through the target so that even if the guy blocks a shot, he's going to push him away, he's going to snap his head back, and he's going to let the judges think that he actually landed a punch. See, another lead. Now he goes to the body bit of 1-2, and notice how instead of going 1-2 with a jab, he leads with a right hook to the body. And he takes a big leap forward. Badou Jack does the same thing, so I hope both guys don't run into each other with a headbutt and ends the fight prematurely. I hope that doesn't happen. Now you see there, Fonfara got hit with the 1-2 downstairs. He claps his gloves to say, yeah, that means he was hurt. So Stevenson goes upstairs. Then Stevenson goes upstairs with an overhand left. Hold on a second. Here we go. So see, he's throwing that left from different angles. Either he goes downstairs, either he jabs downstairs, either he leads with the left downstairs or upstairs. Now Fonfara is confused. And look at that punch here. It's like a half uppercut type punch. Right, flush on Fonfara's face. So you see he went upstairs with a combination and then ended downstairs with another combination. Here he does the opposite. He starts downstairs and finishes upstairs. And so finally that sets up that lethal 1-2 upstairs. When the guy least expected, now he goes upstairs. And he has the power to turn your lights out. Look at that. And notice how the punch, Fonfara was, he was blocking that shot. Look at that. He had his hands up. But Stevenson, power puncher that he is, punches through the target. And he can also hurt you downstairs. So that's part of what makes Stevenson so dangerous, is that he confuses his opponents with the same, and it's only just one hand, by the way, the left hand, but he confuses his opponents. So now they're confused. Number two, even if the punches don't land, they hurt. So now the guys are confused about where the punch is going to come from, and they're extra nervous about it because whether it lands or not, it's hurting them. It causes pain. So now they're on the defensive. Now they're reacting to what Adonis Stevenson is doing, and they can't adapt. They're not focusing on what they should be doing. They're focusing on protecting themselves from Stevenson. And that's why a lot of the guys that Stevenson has fought so far haven't been quality opponents, or they haven't been able to tough it out. I mean, I know Sakio Biko was tough, but you know, technically he's not all that good. Fonfara is so far the most technical fighter that he has faced, but then again, we know he has chin issues, so. But look at that left hand, right on the plexus, and drops him. And then you have Stevenson's counter punching with the left hand, which is really just supreme. Even at 40 years old, he has good reflex. Now this fight was 4 years ago, but he still has demonstrated sharp counter punching. So you see, look at Stevenson's rear leg, tiny little movement to the left and back, just enough to make Fonfara miss, and so he can counter. Now Stevenson missed a little bit with the left. You see, he was just a little nick on Fonfara's face. But now look at this one, that didn't miss. And look at him punching through the target. And again, let's take a look at the footwork that allows Stevenson to do this. First of all, very subtle thing here. He backs up with the lead leg, and then he backs up the rear leg. So the lead goes backward first, and then the rear leg. So it sets him up to have a little spring on his shot. He's got a solid base now to punch, and he whacks him. Also, the other thing that generates a lot of power for Stevenson is, look at how little of his body he's given compared to Fonfara. Fonfara is squared up. Stevenson is more to the side, which gives him more space to turn that punch over. Look at him bending his legs too and punching through. See, he's not just tapping and then pulling it back as quickly as he can to get away. He's really taking the time to drive the punch through to create more power, and then he leans back. Here you're gonna see him doing the step back, lean back motion, and he comes in with a left hand. Very good timing from Stevenson. And again, look at this. We can't see Stevenson's legs, but you see how he backs up on his rear leg, he puts his weight under it, and then comes forward. So he uses that back leg as a spring to gain momentum and land that left hand. And then he counters to the body. That punch has to have, it had to have hurt. Look at that, boom. And then this beautiful move from Stevenson here. Let's take a look at that, what he does. And again, we'll start with that he's playing with, or trying to counter Fonfara's lead hand. See how they're both fighting for positioning there? So what Stevenson does is, look at this, little feint, and instead, as if he was about to jab upstairs, but instead he goes, no, I should rephrase that, I don't know if I fucked it up, but he makes it seem as if he's about to go upstairs. Instead he goes downstairs. Now look at his rear foot. He backs it up, drags the lead foot, and then at the same time, right afterwards, a little backs up more with the rear leg, but again sets it in there as a spring so he can counter. And he comes in with a beautiful left uppercut that snaps Fonfara's head back. Let's look at that again in real motion. So it seems easy to do, but the timing that's required for this, and the accuracy too, is really professional level. Look at this. Boom, boom. Okay, so now we saw that Stevenson, what makes him so dangerous is that he punches from all angles, he drives his punches through, which generates power, maximum power, and he can drop you at any time, and so that makes the opponent extra nervous. So now he's got to focus on trying to thwart or avoid getting hit by Stevenson, as opposed to him scoring points. And now I'm gonna look at Badou Jack, because we looked at Badou Jack in the first series, the first chapter of the series. But we're gonna look at how you see how Stevenson is able to drive his punches behind Fonfara's guard, and even if he does hit the guard, he's able to push Fonfara back, and that presents a problem for Badou Jack, whose defense relies mostly relies on blocking shots with his guard. Now against Bute was juiced, but even then, whether he's juiced or not, Bute is a strong puncher. Nowhere near the puncher Stevenson is, but still a big puncher, and he was able to get, first of all, look at that left hand. We saw Stevenson is able to get those left hands himself in there. So Badou just gonna have to watch out, because one single left to the plexus will hurt you. Here you see double left hand. I think that's something that's gonna work for Stevenson. If he can throw the lead left hand or a 1-2 and then come back with a second left, but actually do it in the way we saw him do it earlier, which was like a semi-uppercut, semi-straight left, and it goes through Badou Jack's guard. Look at that. Here you see him getting countered again. A little too relaxed, Badou Jack. I think he thought he was too much in control, and he didn't seem to mind getting hit by Bute, which is good actually. It's a good sign because he was able to take those shots from a strong puncher. But again, Stevenson's on a whole other level in terms of punching, so he doesn't want to risk it. There, he stays in there too long, and I think I pointed out in the first part that sometimes he stays there to admire his work. See, he landed a right uppercut, but he stays there to get countered. Here the punches are getting through the guard. So he definitely doesn't want to stand in front of Adonis Stevenson and find out what he can weather the storm. Just don't try it. Now let's go to Stevenson and his weaknesses, because he does have some. First of all, he can be lined up for the right hand, as you saw there. He can be hit with the right hand. And that's part of the problem, is he fights with his hands down. So far he's fought guys that can't exploit it because they're too afraid of his power, they can't handle it, or they don't know how to neutralize it. But what if Badou Jack can do it? Badou Jack's the best opponent he's fought since Chad Dawson. Bank on that. So far he's been able to get away with bad habits, even though Fonfara was able to exploit those bad habits a little bit. And in the second fight, Fonfara didn't even have a chance to exploit them because, again, Stevenson is blessed with that punching power. So before Fonfara could even get back on track, he was knocked down, knocked out in the second round it was? I think he got dropped in the first or second round, so didn't even make it past 2 rounds. So we don't know really what Stevenson has left. So anyway, you can see him getting lined up for the right hand. And here what happens is good work from Stevenson, working the body on all sides, but see, he gets too close. Now he's too close, he's got his hands down. He doesn't see, since he's too close, he doesn't see the overhand right that's coming in. Look at that, both hands down. I mean, this is a guy that's overconfident. He gets hit with the right hand and he gets stunned. Here he gets lined up with the right hand again. He thinks he can just step back and evade that shot, and he does a good job. I'm just showing you the parts where he got hit. There were a lot of parts where he was able to make Fonfara miss, but when you're fighting with your hands down, that requires very high reflexes, very good reflexes. And if you're 40 years old, that split second timing that you lose is enough for you to get caught. So he's fighting with his hands down, he gets caught. Double right hand, he gets caught again. Like I said with Stevenson, it should serve him well against Badou Jack to throw double lefts. I think Badou Jack should also go with the double rights, because see, he makes Stevenson miss, and Stevenson gets a little too relaxed. You know, he thinks, oh, okay, I made a miss, I'm out of the danger zone. He's got his hands out. No, actually, you're not out of the danger zone. He gets hit with the right hand there. Gets hit with an overhand right. And this is the punch that really Fonfara won the battle of the lead hand. He was able to outland Stevenson with that lead hand. Look at that. Because again, Stevenson thinks this is what he does. He moves away from the right hand, which is good. Any southpaw should do that. But he runs into the left hand, and he does it with his right hand down. Most of the time, he was rolling with the left hand by using his shoulder, tucking his chain under his shoulder. But he forgets to do it because he's got technical deficiencies and inconsistencies. He's inconsistent with his defense, and it allows him to get caught with shots like that one. See, there he got set up, running into that jab, running into the left hook, and it sets him up for body shots. Straight rights. Badou Jack loves to throw the straight right, so that's something he should work on as well. Mix him up, and I love this move from Fonfara. See, Fonfara is in there, feints, goes in. Again, that's another little feint, because you don't know if he's setting himself up for the left hook, for the right hand. Instead, he throws the right, so he distracts Stevenson. Stevenson just felt the right, so right away he's moving, pivoting away from it, and he runs into this left from Fonfara. There he gets caught with hooks, and then a right hand. So it all started downstairs and finished upstairs. Fonfara did a good job of leading Stevenson into that right. Working the body. Now this is in the 9th round. I think this is a round where Stevenson was hurt and dropped. So I do have to put on a disclaimer right here, but hold on, here you see the combinations. Now I gotta put up a disclaimer here. Stevenson, and like I said in the first chapter of the series, is that he can get tired late. But in order to do that, he has to spend his bullets. And if he's spending bullets, it means he's gonna hit you. And if he hits you, that means he's probably going to hurt you or drop you. So not everybody can make it past the 6 against Stevenson. Bika did it, Fonfara did it, but other than that, everybody else is getting dropped. So It's a risk, man. But if you can get him in the later rounds, you can outwork him like this. Now the problem is that Fonfara stayed there too long. He was too eager to get some back because he had been dropped twice in the fight. So he really wants to get some back, but he stays in there, and if you stay in there against Stevenson, he will counter. Look at that. Right on the plexus again. I'm pretty sure Fonfara felt it. So here's the thing about Stevenson. Very good puncher, precise, but he is 40 years old, and he's a little bit in the Rigondeaux situation against Lomachenko, which is that he hasn't been fighting all that often. His last fight only lasted 2 rounds. Very much like Rigondeaux prior to Lomachenko. So he's been inactive, and even when he has been active, his last fight didn't go past 6, or past 2, I should say, not even into the 6th round. So we don't know how sharp he is. Yes, you can stay sharp in the sparring and training, but when you're 40 years old, it's a whole different thing. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know if Stevenson's going to be sharp, but he's going to have to watch out. He's going to have to... There's a lot of holes to exploit there. But then again, that equalizer, the power that he has, it's like a whiteout. You know, when you back in the old days, you could write whatever you wanted. Oh, you made a mistake, you can take the whiteout and erase it. And erases every mistake you ever made. It's the same thing with Stevenson. He can make all the mistakes he wants. As long as he lands that one big shot, he's going to take you out. But has he been getting complacent by being inactive and by fighting guys against whom he had the advantage? Against who he had the advantage. So, it's we're going to see. And again, third part is going to come up next week. We're going to focus on Badou Jack again. And we're going to focus on the last half of the Bute fight. So stick around for that one. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to our sister channel, BDA Live. That's where we hold the podcast from now on. And don't forget to subscribe to that one. Don't forget to leave your comments. Tell us what we got right, what we got wrong. Don't forget, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to leave your comments. We always want to learn from people. And that's about it, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.
BDA Boxing.